Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, will be having his first interview in a long time, an exclusive with us. He'll be reaching us from his base, not exactly his base, but he has things doing in Germany. We'll be having an interview with him. It's been fully publicized, and I want to say, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, thank you very much for agreeing to do this interview with us.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Okay, first I'd like to put this to you, Mazi, and I want you to tell us about this growing phenomenon called Mazi Nnamdi Kanu.
I'll be very modest. I don't think it's a phenomenon. We're trying to take the message of Biafra to the end of the world. And my happiness is that it is resonating. That very message is resonating all over the world. And it is thanks to the grace of the Almighty and also to the tenacity and determination of IPOB family worldwide. It is a grassroots movement anchored in a spirit of truth, a spirit of never say die, and a level of fanatical devotion to this very cause of Biafra restoration, which mere mortals cannot understand. Unless you're into it, you will not be able to appreciate how determined we are. So it is a phenomenon, not down to me, but down to the work and the tireless efforts people are putting all over the world to ensure that Biafra is restored as quickly as possible.
How long do you think this struggle and agitation for the independence nation of Biafra would last?
We do not know, but we know right now that we know right now that Nigeria is rocking. We are doing all we can to make our case, a very compelling case at that. And at the same time, we are exposing the vacuousness, the emptiness, the shallowness that Nigeria has come to represent. I will say imminently, but when that will be precisely, I do not know. I do not see Nigeria surviving, regardless of the conspiracy of the criminal gang to sustain what is in essence an unsustainable project. I see Nigeria collapsing imminently. How that collapse will be managed is entirely up to those benefiting illegally from the system. If they wish to witness a precipitous collapse, is entirely up to them. If they want to destroy what is left of Nigeria, that's also entirely up to them. You will agree with me that events have actually overtaken what we are trying to accomplish. You know, there is unbridled banditry. You know, there is criminality across the board. You know that Fulani headsmen are all over the place, massacring, killing, raping, and pillaging. They are sacking communities all the way from the Middle Belt to our coastline. Nowhere is safe. So the internal dynamics of Nigeria has set it up for failure. The whole world recognizes that Nigeria is a spectacular failure, and we are only helping them to salvage what is salvageable. And right now, the best way to do that is via Biafra. And how long that would take, I could not possibly begin to determine, but I know it is imminent.
Definitely, I was going to put that question to you. How long do you think it is going to take? But that's on the aside. You said Nigeria would not survive. Why do you have that notion? Because every country has its challenges, and Nigeria is managing has. So why would you think the country would not survive? And the only way to go is, you know, to grant you autonomy.
Because Nigeria is not a country. Nigeria is not a nation. Nigeria is an economic enterprise set up by the British to serve a particular need and interest. No time did people from Nigeria get together to decide to be called Nigeria. No time did they get together to decide to form a nation or a country. That is an illusion. In 1914, a man called Rick Lugard decided on his own, working to further British interest in West Africa, decided to amalgamate the North and the South. The North was very poor, and sadly, they have remained poor till this very day. There is nothing anyone can do about it. So Nigeria as a country, Nigeria referred to as a nation, is an anomaly. Nigeria had never been a country, and it will never, ever be a country. What we are asking for is a recognition of our way of life and existence before the advent of the white man, and that is something we are determined to accomplish, regardless of the obstacles. I must emphasize this, regardless of the obstacle, in terms of sacrifice, both human and material. Everything will be committed into accomplishing this one divine feat, and Biafra must and will be restored, I assure you.
Away from Nigeria's history, your survival of the Operation Python Dance seems to be shrouded in mystery. A lot of people wondered how you were able to escape out of Nigeria, despite the staccato of bullets and, of course, the carnage that followed it. How were you able to escape?
I was evacuated. I think the word escape is exaggerated. The military operation in my house was illegal. It was a state-sanctioned attempt to assassinate me and assassinate the rest of my family, along with some of my men. 28 people died in that very horrific attempt to try to take my life away from me. Extrajudicially, I hasten to add. That is one thing that is lost on Nigerians. I quite recognize the need to condemn what is happening in South Africa, which I have done myself personally. But I also want those who are rising up today in condemnation of what is happening in South Africa to also rise up and very vocally and vociferously condemn the rule of impunity under this very same Fulani cabal headed by Jubril Aminu al-Sudani from Sudan, because everybody knows that Buhari is no more. Now, what is happening is that when you do not have regard for your own so-called citizens, when you have no regard for life and property, when you are an advocate of the misrule or misapplication of law, whatever happens to you outside is what you have basically brought upon yourself. That is why Nigerians should not actually be in a position to offer any condemnation, because they themselves are living in purgatory and they have not been able to rise above their limited understanding of the issues around them. Showore is still in prison. Nobody's talking about him. Dasuki has been illegally incarcerated against every court ruling. People are moving about as if nothing is happening. You also know that El Zagzagi was brought back against his will and was spirited away. No one knows where he is. This is a country of impunity, a country of darkness, a country of hopelessness, a country that should not have existed in the first place. That is why I feel sorry for those championing the cause of one Nigeria, because they are either doing it out of ignorance or they are doing it out of hopelessness. Either of which is not good for any sane human being.
Mazi Nnamdi, you have just made reference to the president of Nigeria as Jubril El Sudan from Sudan. Why do you have this impression that the man in Aso Rock is not President Muhammadu Buhari and that it is an impostor?
You must ask him why he will not speak Fulfude, which is his local Fulani language, that the old, dead now Buhari spoke very fluently. Ask that very thing in Aso Rock why he looks 35 years younger than the original Buhari, who is now dead. Ask him why he cannot allow journalists like your good self to offer him a live interview as I'm doing right now. Ask him why he never addresses the people. Ask him why he never embarks on any walkabout. Ask him why ministers must pass through Abakari, not even the vice president. Usibajo, why must they go through Abakari? Ask him why he does not attend any conferences. The recently concluded Tricard Summit in Yokohama, he never left where he was. He never left to interact. Ask them why they issue Photoshop after Photoshop, doctored videos after doctored videos. Why can't they present him so that people can ask him questions? These are the things that are there in the public domain for people to use their common sense to come to the inescapable realization that that man there is not Buhari. You have seen the picture. Without his makeup, he looks like a 45-year-old. Without his makeup. When they make him up very heavily, they make you think or assume that you're looking at Buhari. And we know that is not him. Ask yourself this question. Why would Femi Adesina go to the extent of having to doctor photographs in order to convince you that this man is Buhari when they know he's not? Why do you need to lie? Why do you need to present photoshopped pictures? Why must you present fake pictures? Why doctored videos? Why don't you allow the man to speak for himself? Why must they be chaperoning him all over the place as if he's handicapped? Why? These are the simple, salient questions that we expect normal human beings to be asking. Nobody is asking because they're Nigerians. Every nonsense goes. We are IPOB, we are different. We hate injustice and we hate lies, and that's why we fight it wherever we see.
Of course, there's no doubt we've heard about dictators, especially of African heritage, who have body doubles or the likes. But this, to a large extent, is kind of alien to us. But you keep going on with President Muhammadu Buhari being, gone and having an impostor in his place, this El Sudan character. And, there are a lot of people who are believing you on this, and they're riding with it. This is quite dangerous for the country.
It is not dangerous for the country, it is the truth. Why is it that Nigerians are afraid of the truth? Why is it that Mr. Hassan, who is from the dead Buhari's village, that recruited Junaid, of course that's his name in Khartoum in Sudan, why was he murdered in Khartoum? Why is it that every diplomat that had an association with Jubril is now dead or bought off or bribed away? I gave you 3 names, Mr. Hassan, Mr. Benjamin Ethnan, and now is a particular Malam Aminu that works for Babandede, who is the current Immigration Controller General. He is the only one alive out of the 3 people that recruited Jubril in Sudan. Why are the other 2 dead? Why was this one bribed? Why don't you journalists go and do some investigating of this very matter? Why can't you look at the ears of the old Buhari and look at the ears of Jubril and tell me if they're the same? Why don't you look at the palm and tell me if they are the same? These are facts that are out there in the open. We have library photos and videos of the thing they sent to go and meet Trump a couple of years back. Go and ask yourself if that is the Buhari that you know. People use body doubles, we understand that, but for a body double to go and sign a treaty, that is an anathema. That is disastrous. That is the worst form of treason you can ever imagine. And you are allowing these things to continue, allowing Abba Kyari and his cabal to be running a nation when they are not elected to do so. That is what we are against, because we are against injustice wherever we find it.
Mazi, if you don't mind me saying, if you could adjust the lights where you are so that we could see your face, because it seems to be getting dark where you are.
It's getting dark where I am?
Wait, it's not really clear. Just adjust your light a bit. Thank you.
Help me adjust that one too.
Okay, now. So I want to talk to you about you making reference to Nigeria as a zoo and the inhabitants as, you call them animals. Don't you think this is also insulting the sensibility of most of your followers who are living in Nigeria?
I think I've been misquoted on a few occasions. Nigeria is a zoo, and anybody who fails to question his or her government, anybody that fails to hold their democratically elected officers to account, anybody who refuses to ask relevant questions about governance and leadership within a specifically defined geopolitical space, I do not think such people are worthy to be called human beings. Sometimes I may, of course, and I've been quoted or taken out of context on a few occasions, but I can assure you that there is nothing coming from Nigeria, there is nothing about Nigeria that leads me to believe that the proponents of one Nigeria are capable of reasoning. That is a clear fact. Anybody who believes in Nigeria needs to go and see a medical doctor, because my grandfather was not a Nigerian. Your own grandfather was not a Nigerian. Who were there before the white man came? Why is it easier for black people to allow Europeans to come to Africa to create nations and countries when no African can come to Europe to do the same? Why must we tolerate what is in essence intolerable? If Nigeria had emerged organically as a result of people coalescing over the centuries, maybe under the banner of common value system or religion or language, I may begin to excuse that. But there is nothing binding us together. As I said to my friends in the USA, if you can supplant Afghanistan into Texas, if they can live side by side with the Taliban, then they should allow me to become a Nigerian. But they cannot do that, because every nation of this very world is founded on what I refer to as irreducible value system. That does not apply in Nigeria. Nothing binds us together. Nothing holds us together. Not language, not religion, not value system. What are we doing as one people? It is impossible. And that is why the country is going backwards.
There is, some people usually say there is unity in diversity. We're talking about over 350 ethnic groups. And the country has survived over 100 years together. I mean, with every tribe, you know, still glued together. So why don't you think Nigeria would survive? And it's a bad plan, like, you know, you usually say, and with your strong references.
Because Nigeria has no meaning. Can I ask you the meaning of Nigeria in Urhobo language? What does Nigeria mean in Hausa language? What does Nigeria mean in Yoruba language? These are indigenous populations. What does the word Nigeria actually mean? I know England means the land of the English. I know Ireland means the land of Irish people. I know USA means United States, people that actually came together to try and form a nation. Now tell me the meaning of Nigeria. You don't know. You as a journalist don't know the meaning of the word Nigeria. Nobody actually knows, because it's alien. How do you expect me to identify with something that has no meaning to me? How is that possible? I can identify with Biafra, I can identify with Igbo land, Ijo land, Ibibio land, I can understand that, we know what it means. I don't know what Nigeria means. And I keep asking Africans this very simple question. Why is it that every other part of the world is developing and not Africa? Because of the artificiality of the boundaries you have in Africa. Allow us to draw the boundaries. If they could have convened a simple sovereign national conference, as quite, you know, brilliantly argued by Wole Soyinka a few years ago, we would have solved all this problem by now. If all the reports of the compact were actually taken into account, legislated upon, and acted upon, we would have addressed that very anomaly. Nigeria was not created by any Nigerian, because there is no Nigerian. We should stop deceiving ourselves. We were together for centuries before the white man came. We were not fighting any wars. We lived peacefully with one another until the white man came and started to point out where the boundaries ought to be and started to lump us together. And that is something that I deeply resent. As a human being, I resent it. If I'm not allowed I'm now in Europe, I can't just go to any part of Germany and say, your name is now Ibeg. It can't, they'll kill me there and then. Why should we allow, Africans should be able to reason for once. Ask yourself, why is it that other people can come into Africa and determine for us how to live our lives? Why can't we take charge of who we are and do things the way it ought to be? Why must we always allow ourselves to be led in the wrong direction? That is why there is no light. That is why there is no food, no decent education system, nothing. Because we don't even agree as to what sound education ought to be. Because in the North, you have people saying that Western education is bad. In the South, you have people who are fighting tooth and nail to try and send their kids to school. These are the simple, to some people who are unlettered, they do not understand what these disparities is actually doing to our reasoning capacity or our ability, or in this case, inability to run a decent society. And if people are comfortable with that, I'm not. I'm not comfortable. People love mediocrity in Africa. We don't. IPOB do not like mediocrity. And that's what we're fighting against.
IPOB. Let us go talk about the objective of your struggle and how do you intend to achieve it in practical terms?
In practical terms, it is civil disobedience. The same way that Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. accomplished civil rights in America, the same way that Mahatma Gandhi led India to independence out of British colonial rule, the same principles we are applying, and might I add, very successfully too. We will do everything possible to unravel and unshackle the zoo called Nigeria. Everything humanly possible. No stone will be left unturned. We will sacrifice everything sacrificable. Material, life, blood will throw into it. One thing is certain and inescapable, that Biafra will come.
Mazi, I must say this to you. A revolution is not a dinner party. This revolution has taken lives. Young, able-bodied men have died. How many more lives? How many?
Freedom is not cheap. You recognize that. I could have been shot dead in detention when I was arrested. When they came to my house, I could have been one of the victims. We recognize the risks involved. People must understand this. We are IPOB, we are Biafra. There is only one goal and one mission. That goal is to restore Biafra. It doesn't matter what it takes. We will do everything. People mustn't underestimate our resolve. Everything humanly possible will be done to ensure that Biafra comes. If they are sensible in Nigeria, they will meet tomorrow morning and give us Biafra. If they don't, I keep making reference to Somalia. I swear it that Somalia will be a paradise, I assure you, before God and before man. That Biafra will come and that zoo will fall, I assure you.
Do you think that President Muhammadu Buhari will grant you an autonomy?
He is not Buhari. His name is Jubril Aminu al-Sudani. Buhari is dead and buried in Saudi Arabia. Buhari is not alive. I challenge them. If they conduct a DNA test tomorrow morning and the result comes out or ascertained that that thing you're saying there is Buhari, I will collapse IPO. I will. I will collapse IPOP and stop the agitation for Biafra. That is how certain I am. It's very simple. They want to disgrace IPOB, they want to shame me. It's very simple. Publish a simple DNA result next tomorrow, and I will shut down the agitation for Biafra.
Do you realize how influential you have become? I just need you to respond to this first. Do you realize how influential you've become?
No, I don't. I know that IPOB is very powerful when you have presence in over 100 countries around the world. that organization is bound to be very influential, I assure you.
Okay, Mazi, you're so influential, so much so that your followers make such revered reference to you as the supreme leader, God sent, Lord Mazi, the greatest Igbo man alive, the restorer of the entire black race, God's anointed, the man who saw tomorrow, Daddy Gio, Chukwu Okike Abiyama. They trust in you. They believe in you. Are you sure you can actualize and deliver this promised land which they so desire?
It is in the hands of Elohim, the God Almighty in heaven. I am a mere mortal. Only God will decide. But as long as I am truthful and honest to this very divine project, I see no reason why Biafra would not come in my time.
So, are you still of the opinion, let me just take you back to the event in Japan, that's the 7th Tokyo International Conference of African Development. Are you still of the opinion that President Muhammadu Buhari was not in Japan? Because quite a number of your followers really do believe that he isn't, or he wasn't there.
He was in Japan, he came to Japan, but he did not attend the conference. He did not attend the conference. Show me a video of where he made a speech. If it's a doctored video, then we will tell you. You have experts in London, around your studios. You have video analysts. Jubril Aminu al-Sudani never left the hotel room where he was. He never left that very place. Go ask yourself this simple question. I don't know sometimes how we black people reason. Tell me why Femi Adesina will go to the extent of having to doctor a photo. Why Photoshop? That this man now has 3 legs instead of 2. Is he a ghost? Now, ask me, why would they go to the extent of trying to falsify photographs in order to convince you and other people that they attended the event when they did not? Something happened in France during the Armistice 100 years celebration. He wasn't there. We said he wasn't. People kept arguing. And I'm going to make sure that he never attends any conference. They won't even pretend anymore. His mates were in Paris attending the G20 meeting that Nigeria previously, by virtue of their inflated position as the giant of Africa without substance, of course, were routinely invited to. But Jubril wasn't invited to it because the world knows. Trump have actually told you, I don't want to see him again, because Trump knows he's fake. Everybody knows that. Do you expect world powers to come and tell you, oh, your president is fake? No, it is your responsibility. If you go and bring a pig or a goat and say this pig, this swine is Nigeria's president, the world will issue diplomatic certificate and welcome it. It is actually your stupidity, not theirs. You can present anything. It's a democracy, so you claim. So you can bring a rat or a squirrel or a chicken and say, this chicken is a Nigerian president. And they will accept it. So don't expect the world to say, oh no, we'll see him, it's Jubril. Anything you bring, they will take. It is your responsibility and your duty to ask yourself, how come a dying Buhari that is over 6 feet is all of a sudden 5'9", 5'10", looking very young? Are people blind they cannot see? Are people that stupid and cowardly that they cannot come out, stand up and say the truth? Because they are afraid of one thing. I tell you this. They know once they acknowledge that Buhari is dead, that the world will see that Nnamdi Kanu and IPOB have been right all along, and the zoo will collapse. And that's what they don't want. Everybody knows that Buhari is dead.
Mazi, I would like to take you on some of the questions that our viewers or contributors from around the world have put forward. Dora Osas asked this question, said, according to the Nigerian government, since you jumped bail, do you see yourself ever visiting Nigeria again, or do you intend to speak from a distance and expect people in Nigeria to obey and actualize your dream of an independent Biafra?
That is what I'm saying, that look at what is happening in South Africa. I'm sorry to digress a bit, but I want to answer your question. Black people are evil. very wicked race, without conscience and without empathy. I was in my house and extrajudicially I was to be eliminated. I survived an assassination attempt. And somebody saying he jumped bail. And I'm sure that very person claims to be educated. But do you see how evil some of you are in Nigeria? You are so wicked that even the truth is lost on you. Did I say I wasn't going to go back to court? My court date was on the 13th of October, 2017. They came to kill me on the 14th. So you expect me or my men to allow me to be killed. So when I'm killed, then you'll be very happy. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Prophet Muhammad, the founder of Islam, escaped an assassination attempt and fled from Mecca to Medina. Today, it is the fastest growing religion in the whole world. Let me also add, you know Moses that led the blessed Israelites out of Egypt. I'm sure you do. Moses fled from the court of Pharaoh when his life was under threat. Nelson Mandela fled to Igbo land and harbored by Mbazulika Mage in Igbo land. In Nnewi, we all know who Mandela is. We also know that Jesus Christ was taken by his parents and they fled to Egypt to escape the infanticide of King Herod. We all know this. We claim we know the Quran, we know the Bible, and we know history. But somehow, when it comes to marrying facts with truth, you see a Nigerian missing. The thing is an object of ridicule. He jumped bail. Who jumped bail? I called Buhari when he was alive. I called him a madman in his court. And nothing happened. Heaven did not fall. They gave me conditions and I came out and I defied all of them. Heaven did not fall. They stopped me from going to Kulobia and I broke their cordon. They stopped me from going to Ebonyi and I broke their cordon. They could have shot me dead. Couldn't they? They now sat and planned to come to my house to kill me in my compound. And my men said no. And somebody who claims to have conscience is saying he jumped bail. That is how evil Nigeria is. And that is why I despise it. Because they are liars and they are deceivers. That is why they are so backward.
Okay, so I'll take this question from Ike Nanwezi. He said he would like to know your opinion regarding Don Pedro Obaseki's assertion about the creation of a Midwest via a referendum, and if you are willing to collaborate with Dr. Don Pedro Obaseki and other people who may not have exactly the same ideology as you, but still support freedom.
I love freedom. Anybody who wants to be free has the support of IPOB. I assure you. Anybody. We need to be free, all of us. I want a larger union. I want to stay within a union that encompasses the whole of ECOWAS, even the whole of Africa. But we must do it on our own terms. People must agree to be part of a union. A union is not done by force. People get divorced every blessed day. Why don't you insist that people remain married even when they're unhappy? Why must people be forced to be part of Nigeria, being ruled by only 4 million Fulani men? That almost all of them are not even educated. They don't know how to run an economy. They cannot run a country. Tell me what they've been able to accomplish in all the years of governance. Why must we be with them? I keep asking. People have this notion that that having Nigeria, one Nigeria, somehow makes them immune from the attack of the Fulani, as my Yoruba brothers are now beginning to witness. Fulani headsmen not in Yoruba land. Are they not killing them over there? Are they not desecrating their holy places? Of course they're doing that. They thought initially they were spiting the Igbos and the Biafrans. Today they're getting their own comeuppance as well. What I'm saying is this. Anybody who wants to be free will have my undivided, unalloyed loyalty and support. That I assure you. It doesn't matter where they come from. If tomorrow we have Biafra and the BBO nation says they want to be free from Biafra, by all means I'll support them. If Izon says they want to be free from Biafra, I will support them. I love freedom.
That's pretty good because making reference to what Dr. Don Pedro Basaki said in our studios last week, we had this interview with him which has actually gone viral, and he was concerned. Okay, he's the convener for the Midwest movement. He's pretty concerned that while you drew the Biafra map, you included Delta and Edo State. So the Midwest region are coming out to say they are not a part of Biafra. But he's okay with your agitation, but, you know, the Midwest region would like to be carved out, you know, in case.
Is Midwest a name? What is the meaning of Midwest? These are some of the nomenclatures within Africa that I find very debilitating, like Middle Belt. I can't understand. Is it the middle belt of the belt I'm wearing around my waist, or the middle belt of where? Just explain that. It doesn't make any sense to me. What's the meaning of Midwest? Midwest of where? Are you talking about Bini people having their own kingdom? Absolutely fine. But what I'm saying is that there are Igbo people within Edo State, and we will not leave them behind. They are Igbo Akari. They call them Ewanke. These are Igbo people. They speak Igbo language. They have no representation at the palace of the Oba of Benin, which means that they are not part of that whole monarchical setup. Now tell me how you expect me to abandon Igbo people in Benue State, abandon Igbo people in Edo State, because they are called Middle Belt and they are called Midwest. Does that make any sense? Is anybody remotely suggesting that Anioma is not Igbo? Is there anybody remotely suggesting that Ikwere is not Igbo? If they want to be free on their own, have a separate nation, that's entirely up to them. It's their decision to make. But I don't want anybody telling me who my own relatives are, because Ebanke is Igbo, Abo is Igbo, Umunede, Onichubo, Asaba, which is actually Ahaba, not Asaba. The real name is Ahaba, like Ahaba Habime. These are some of the things that people don't actually know. They came after the war, they gerrymandered the boundaries, they told us lies, gave a few traitors money to keep drumming this nonsense that they are not Igbo, they are not Biafra. That is all rubbish. Stella Damasos is Ojukwu. The very famous actress, Stella Damascus is called, I'm sure. Her surname is Ojukwu, not Damascus or Damasus or whatever she's called. It's Ojukwu. The late wife, may her soul rest in peace, Ndidi Odogu, was the wife of Bongo's Ikwe, not Miriam Babangida. We all know this. So for how long are we going to continue pretending? I'm very grateful for the likes of my dear senior brother and father, Dr. Ebigwe, who are there. You know Ebigwe very well. You know Patti Boulay of former Lord Spain. I think now she's in London, isn't it? The uncle. Exactly. These are people that have played very prominent role in the advancement of Igbo. These are the things that you ought to know. And they are from Obinwannem. So when it comes to coup, Nzogu's coup, it's an Igbo coup. When it comes to convincing people and deceiving them, you say they're not Igbo. You can't have it both ways. See that Nzogu is Igbo or it's not.
And I must make this request, and I'm sure our viewers would really love this, to have you and Dr. Don Pedro Basaki in our studios so we could talk about it. I know you have your artillery really filled, and you have so much you're doing in Ghana. Just in case you come into the United Kingdom and London in particular, we could have you again in our studios so you could, you know, air your views and side by side Don Pedro Basaki.
Of course, if I'm disposed, I will be there to share my views with him. Of course, why not?
Okay, I'm going to take you on that. You said you were going to do that, and we're holding on to it. So let me go on to this other question by Valentine City Boy, who wants to know your next line of action as the Nigerian government is yet to give IPOB a referendum date.
We don't do what we do based on the timetable of the Nigerian government, because we know that Nigeria is a sick state run by parasites. I repeat, it's a very sick political enclave. It is a criminal enterprise. Nigeria, the way it is presently constituted, is a criminal enterprise. It is worse than mafiosi. What is happening in Nigeria is an organized gang of criminals and rogues making the lives of other people a misery. And they enjoy it. And they play on the ignorance of those who are half educated, that knows the price of everything and the value of nothing. They are the ones that tell you that they hold PhDs, but there is no light in their village. That is how foolish they are. I do not wish to be part and parcel of that very disgraceful arrangement. So what we are saying in effect, if anybody claims to possess any iota of reasoning capacity, they ought to realize by now that Nigeria is unworkable. Can never work, not now, not tomorrow, not in the next 100 billion years, it will never work. Never.
Mazi, I just have to say this to our viewers and those of you who are just joining us. The name of the program is Rose on All Sides. My name is Rose Peter Graham, and we are having an interview with the servant leader of the indigenous people of Biafra. He's reaching us now from Germany, and I was reading out questions. I've been reading out questions of contributors to him, and the next one is Chigozie. You have to pardon me. Chigozie Ekpanta. He asked, if at the end of the day the Nigerian government continued to delay and even refused to call for a referendum, what would you do, and what should Biafrans and lovers of freedom expect from the United Nations?
I am not at liberty to divulge matters of confidential nature, how far we have gone, and how determined we are to make sure we push through our agenda of global recognition. But we are doing that. And as I said previously, we are not dependent on the timetable of Nigeria because we possess the resources that they require. And I've gone on record before to say that oil and gas means nothing to us. We will gladly and freely give it away to people. We want our freedom. We are not fighting for Biafra because of fossil fuel, because the greatest natural resource you can ever possess is your brain. They traveled to Japan so that Japan, a small, tiny country, Japan, can help the whole of Black Africa. Disgraceful and shameful. Japan is very small. Japan has no coal, no gas, no oil, nothing. But people with gas, oil, aluminium, bauxite, gold, everything is running to Japan that has nothing for help. We should all be ashamed of ourselves. All of us ashamed of ourselves. We're a disgrace to humanity, I assure you. Now, the point is this. What we intend to do to accomplish Biafra, what we do on the surface is about 20%. That's what people see. The rest of the work we do, people don't see it. But our march is unstoppable. And we are not bound or shackled to the dictates of the Nigerian hopeless.
Of the struggle. Let me just read out this last question quickly, and then we go to that question. Is Ebere Chukwu Okoro, who wants to know what you think about the Revolution Now movement and why it died off after a few canisters of tear gas. And he also would like to know if there are any plans in place to assist Sowore out of prison, and he feels Sowore has been abandoned by his people.
He has been abandoned because they don't understand. Previously, when we started, they thought freedom fighting is a joke. It is only IPOB that can carry out a revolution in Nigeria. And I wish others can recognize that as well. Now they have seen how resilient we are. They did not last up to 8 minutes. At the sound of one canister of tear gas, they all boarded the nearest Molue and disappeared. All of them. They don't know that what Showore is doing is sacrificing his freedom for theirs. They don't understand it. Your average Nigerian does not understand the meaning of a revolution. Do you know why? Because there is no commonality of interest or value. The way a Yoruba man sees Nigeria is not how a Biafran sees Nigeria. It is not how a Fulani man sees Nigeria. It's not how a TV man sees Nigeria. Everybody sees Nigeria differently. That is why for you to organize Nigerians to come together, to do anything that requires the shedding of blood in order to accomplish a better living for everybody will never, ever work. And I hope and pray, well, first we'll campaign for sure to come out with, but I hope and pray that when it does come out, he will fight for the Duduwa Republic.
Mazi, I would like to draw your attention to this. There is too much verbal attack and bullying on social media from your supporters to any other person who do not share their view. And I am pretty sure that you are not in support of cyber bullying, or this is the way that you think, you deem fit, following, the direction into actualizing your freedom.
We are the ones who should be aggrieved. We were killed, massacred at war. Nigerians laughed at us. We were killed at Headbridge on it. They laughed at us, and the mother, of course, they are black people, what is very wicked and evil. They killed us again at National High School, Aba. They were sneering and laughing at us. Don't you think that we have the right to be angry and upset at such people? If they don't attack us, we won't attack them. But for anybody to think that they can ridicule, insult, pillage, or malign IPOB into submission, such people are dreaming. We feed and we thrive on it. The more you insult us, the more you attack us, the more stronger we become. All it will end up doing is achieving the opposite effect. If you think by coming out and insulting and ridiculing IPOB that you will somehow get one over us, you are mistaken. We will come after you. If you don't come after us, we will not come after you. If you respect yourself and you love your one Nigeria in your ignorance, that's entirely up to you. Allow us to do what we are doing. Once you intrude into our space, we'll make sure you will not go through.
Of the Operation Python dance, and when many feared you were dead and then you reappeared, you ordered a boycott of the election. Why did you do that?
Because Nigeria has a very poor education system, coupled with the fact that we black people from Africa, we don't learn. We read, we don't learn. We understand English language. We know A, B, C, D to Z. We know how to write fanciful grammar, but we don't understand the nuances of English language. We don't understand how to use words to convey meaning. I called for the boycott because I knew before time that your PVC was useless. I knew they would rig the election in favor of Jubril. Everyone knew that. Now, APC sits down somewhere in Abuja with INEC, one Fulani man to another. They decide who goes and who doesn't go. Now they've taken over the judiciary. They saw Dino Malaye as a big threat and a problem. They've just simply recalled him. One tribunal have just ruled you shouldn't be here, and he's gone. That's what they do. And people fold their hands every day and watch hopelessly as impunity on top of impunity is happening. That was why the rise of Showore came. To say this nonsense has to stop. Your average Nigerian lacks the capacity to reason. These are the same people under Jonathan, they were talking about revolution. Tinubu came out on the street to march. The dead Buhari came out on the street to march. Now it is their turn, they're in power. When you come out to march, it's reasonable felon. When you protest, you're a terrorist. And they claim they are in a democracy. Boris Johnson, the newly elected Prime Minister of Great Britain, on many occasions have been confronted, assaulted, pelted with eggs. You are in the UK, you know this. Did anyone go to jail for that? That is part and parcel of democracy. When people are upset, they vent their anger. But in Nigeria, it is treason. Shoot them. kill them, incarcerate them. Because we are primitive and backwards. I keep saying this all the time. In fact, what's happening in South Africa have justified my stance over the years. People say I shouldn't insult black people. I said I'm black. But I cannot condone the stupidity of the black man. I can't condone it. What is happening is inexcusable. Inexcusable. You have no light. You have no roads. You have no housing. You have no schools. Somebody came out to campaign for this thing. And you're laughing at him, saying he committed treason. And you're telling me that God will turn around and love Nigeria. Because it's impossible.
Mazi, a lot of people were offended, when you chose to address the massacre that happened in your hometown. You acknowledged the killing of your dog before the brave men who took bullets for you.
There are people who will always twist everything that I say. I went to World Igbo Congress in 2015, and I said I need guns and I need bullets to defend our land because I knew the Fulanis were coming. Today, have they not come? When I say something, sometimes there is a statement of the media, paid, of course, by some politicians, to twist what I say. I paid tribute to my men that fell. I didn't mention their names. I paid tribute to my men that I drew in Jack, my dog, to portray the heartlessness of those that they sent to come and kill me. Not that how can I put my dog before my men? I went to prison because of them. I could have died because of them. When they sent snipers to come and kill me in 2015, 30th of May in Aba, I risked my life to go to Aba to address our people, as I've always done and will always do. They won't remember that. All they remember is that I mentioned Jack, my dog. These are the people that live by peddling gossip, rumors, and innuendos. That is why, as I keep saying all the time, Nigeria is the shithole.
You on this. They said Nigerian politicians, especially of Igbo extraction, seems unwilling to attend events around the world, believing that the fear of IPOB is the beginning of wisdom. What informed, this sudden change of strategy?
It is called accountability, democratic accountability. Very soon, I'm sure they won't report this, very soon, any governor that have not paid salaries will not come abroad anymore. If you're owing salaries, you cannot come abroad anymore. To bank teacher salaries, to bank the salaries of pensioners, you cannot come abroad anymore. And from next month, it will start happening. If you are owing salaries in your state, I assure you, it doesn't matter who you are, you cannot come abroad anymore. So this is just the beginning.
I'll take you on this, but we would be going on break very quickly, and when we come back, we're going to continue this interview with the servant leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Okay, thank you very much for staying with us. And if you're just joining us, it is Rose on all sides. And we are having an exclusive interview with the servant leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Mazi, are you still with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, Mazi, we were talking about Nigerian politicians traveling abroad. You seem to have put a fear in them, and there's so much caution back home, because they're afraid they might be attacked by IPOB members.
No, we won't attack them. We'll ask them questions. It's called picketing. It's allowed within the ambit of democratic rule. So if we see, we'll ask you what you've been doing with teacher salaries and nurses salaries, why you've not been paying people, and what are you doing here? That's all. It's not a big deal. And why are you coming to a foreign land to eat yam when there is yam in the village? Is it yam that they farmed in Germany, or yam they farmed in Finland that you're coming to eat? You didn't eat yam. The Fulanis have taken over our farmlands and destroyed our crops. Then you're coming abroad to eat yam. Yam from where? That's what we're asking them to do.
Talking about the yam eating, the yam eating festival in Germany, and the former Deputy Senate President who graced that occasion was malhandled, physically dealt with. A lot of people are sympathetic towards him because they feel he's such a fine gentleman. And if you're going to make an example of a Nigerian politician, it shouldn't be the person of, you know, the distinguished Senator Ike Ekweremadu.
That is a family affair. I wouldn't wish people to intrude what is in essence a close family matter. Were the same thing to have happened to Yoruba politicians or Fulani politicians, I won't comment. It is an entirely family matter which will be resolved within the family. It is not for other people to comment upon.
Okay, Mazi, you want us to take that and then, like I mentioned to your deputy leader, would this treatment be reserved to Igbo politicians?
No, I said no. Any governor owing salaries, once we catch you abroad, you will tell us what you did with the salaries belonging to teachers, to nurses, to civil servants, and to pensioners. That's all. That's the question. Doesn't matter where you come from. Once we see you, we'll hold you, and you will tell us what you're doing with their salaries. Why you've not paid for 6 months, for 9 months, for 4 months. Where is the money? We'll ask.
That's fine. Let me take you up on this. Most Igbo, especially the elites, the clergymen, the political class, the academics seem to agree quietly with what you're doing, but they frown at the approach. Don't you think maybe a change of strategy would, what have you, would enhance your agitation and win you more support? Maybe if you just change your strategy a little bit. There are a lot of fine, intelligent Igbo men and women who would like to, you know, align with the IPOP philosophy.
Everybody is in line with what we are doing, except the criminals. Everyone is in line with what we are doing. There is no time on this earth that any process of agitation will be palatable for everybody or amenable for everybody to buy into. When Nnamdi Azikiwe was campaigning for Nigeria to be free from colonial rule, he was sent to prison. Many people felt he was a radical and declined to associate themselves with him. But in the end, he succeeded in freeing Nigeria, not knowing that we were jumping from the frying pan into the fire. Awolowo did the same thing. He was a firebrand. Many people didn't like his approach in the beginning, but, you know, on reflection, on review of what he did and how he managed to accomplish it, we've now come to accept that he meant well for his people. So at the time these things are happening, most people won't appreciate it, but I'm sure in the next 100 to 200 years, historians will look back on this period and say that what we did was right.
Okay, so what is your relationship with Ralph Uwazurike? I mean, I don't know if I pronounce it. Uwazurike, yes, that's his name. What's your relationship with him? He is the founder of the movement for the actualization of the sovereign state of Biafra, MASOB. You both share the same vision. Do you have a personal relationship with him?
Of course, he's the pioneer of the modern liberation of Biafra that we are fighting for. So he will always occupy a very special place in the hearts of our people, myself included, because he did something at a time when others were afraid to do it. We acknowledge that. But we have moved on from there. We have come to confront the Nigerian state with fact, with reason, with intellect, and with a sense of purpose. I'm not saying that that was lacking before, but I'm saying that that is what IPOB is bringing to the table. And insofar as our approach and methodology is concerned, we are carrying everybody along with us. The Biafra we're fighting for is for everybody. And Ralph was included as well. We're not excluding anyone. We want everybody to be free.
Okay, very well. And also, Mazi, can I ask you a private question?
Of course you may.
Okay, so there was a video that went viral some time ago of you and your lovely wife in your romantic gesture towards each other in your bedroom. Don't you
Yes.
think this, a lot of people wondered how that clip went out. So I've got two questions to ask you concerning it. Number one, don't you think it would affect, the psychology of the movement? And then number two, do you not think that there is a mole within, or should that be the work of an enemy?
You see, I wouldn't want to. My phone was stolen, mind you. Of course, yes, it was stolen. And the idiots released that in early 2014. It didn't gain much traction. They tried it again in 2019. But the more they did it, the more popular we became. There was a video that wasn't meant for public consumption. My phone was stolen. And I can assure you, in Africa, things like that tend to sell. And people that never knew about IPOB knew about IPOB because of the beauty of my wife.
What were the reaction you got?
They said they never knew that I could be so romantic, that my wife was so beautiful.
Mazi, how interesting. Tell us more.
There's nothing, but it's self-evident. You can see it for yourself that I'm actually a very caring man. Thank you.
And they are in safe hands. Because some people might actually say they prefer a leader who is leading from the front and not from the bedroom.
Yes. The thing is that at least I've shown our people how to be caring towards their wives, because what we are doing is a very stressful job. You must know that. Very, very stressful and very dangerous, I must add. So if you find time, I'm sure my deputy and the rest of them, if you find time, try to be romantic towards your wife, because you never know what might happen tomorrow.
Mazi, this is very interesting. Thank you very much for joining me. I've taken over an hour of your time, and we are really appreciative of this.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you.
We want to have you in a studio so we can have you one-on-one, and then of course we could open the phone lines so that Nigerians should also contribute and speak with you.
Of course, that will happen, I'm sure.
Thank you very much, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, the servant leader. Thank you.